or Pablo, do we want to start discussing about how useful was the testing workshop? And since this recording will be uploaded, I wanted to also inform the folks who listen in that Pedro actually flew down and met Pablo Mihai and the SUSE team so that they could do like a joint testing workshop for, I believe, was it 3 days, 3 to 4 days? Or maybe I'm mixing it up. Maybe was it 2 days?
Did it start on Monday? Well, you have to understand I was on vacation for more than 2 weeks now. And you know, when we come back after vacation, it's like you do a memory reset. So I think it started on Monday and it lasted until Thursday. So it could be like 4 days.
Yeah, that's true. We had that's a good 4 days, so that both SaltStack and SUSE got together. So Mihai and Pablo, do you want to give updates about how useful was the workshop and the collaboration useful? What were some of the major takeaways? And what are kind of like the next steps that your team is thinking about?
Let's start with workshop. So it was great having Pedro here, and actually it was first time for me meeting him, and he's great. And we had some good results. I hope I will be able to remember everything we did, because again, the memory reset. It was a good opportunity for us to understand how well the changes that you are planning to do and that you started to do with the golden images and the new branch organization. Um, Besides that, we had a quite deep look into how you are preparing these images and then how you run the tests. We were able to run the tests on our machines after that, and also part of the workshop, we were able to build Docker images to run the test. Before that, it was only about VM images. And besides that, we were also able to build a golden image for, I think it was OpenSUSE 15 or a minor version of that. But we were able to do that, and then we were able to run the tests in Docker in OpenSUSE 15. Of course, there are other images as well for other operating systems. They are also working with Docker images now in Docker containers. So I think the results were quite good. Maybe I've missed some details, but all in all, that's what we did. And we have Pedro here. Maybe he has a better memory.
So, hello.
Hi.
Hello, and welcome from vacations. So, most of the work that we did on that workshop actually allowed us to build containers for all the other distributions. There might be one or two missing, but I think most of them are built. Right now, although those are published on Docker Hub, we should still not consider them as official. And the reason behind that is that because they were built using my fork to create, my fork of the Jenkins states to create those containers. It's been waiting until we get the Salt master branch merged, which is now. And we are now also taking care of the Salt Jenkins merge into a single master branch. And once that's done, the changes that we did during that workshop week will be merged into mainstream, and we will begin to officially building Docker containers to run tests. So yeah, most of the work is carved out already. There's just some minor details regarding the finalization of that work.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I guess this answers your question, or
Yeah.
okay. About the next steps, we haven't really discussed what to do next. Maybe we can do that now. Maybe it would be a good idea to review the initial goals and see if they still align with this path that we already took right now. Or maybe we need to adapt them, or maybe even create some new goals. I think this is an open discussion, and we could tackle that today.
Yeah, makes sense. So from our team perspective, DWAS has also joined the call. And then I had few conversations with DWAS as well as Pedro to get some top items of what SALT would want. So we have that list too, as a suggested item. And ultimately, it's the call of the testing and working testing group. So I can feed those items as well.
Yeah, okay. So if I understand correctly, you have some kind of suggestions. So we could start with those if you want.
Okay. So the first, the top priority item for us is now, as for Neon, we are targeting at least internally January release. And then so we have a couple of months for all the PRs to be migrated from the other branches. Neon develop to the new master carved out from 2019-1. So since your team did saw that list of all the items, and I believe I did send out the ones which SUSE owns. So would you be willing to help us migrate that so that we can get them in, we make sure that we get them in and get them in faster?
Oh, sure. I'm not sure if there was anything done meanwhile while I was gone. Maybe Pablo, do you know anything about the list? Is there any progress there?
Yeah, well, on the last SYNCAP meeting we had, the feedback I got from Jochen was that the list was, we were okay with the list after reviewing that. There is no major changes expected there. Maybe, well, Jochen is not here at the moment. He was the one that was taking care of the, reviewing the PR list. Maybe.
Maybe we could add it. Then we might not be able to give a response right now, or a good one. So maybe we need to come back to you with a proper response. Would that work?
Yeah, maybe we can double check with Jochen once he's back, I think tomorrow, and then we can double check with him and provide you a clear answer to that, if you are okay with that.
Okay.
But
yeah,
definitely we are going to help. If there's no progress and there's still things to be done, sure, we will do it.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. And so the second item was, since one of the goals of the testing and working group was also to improve the test coverage, and I think this fits really well into that, is whenever we are migrating some of those PRs which doesn't have test cases, the SALT core team is taking some time to write the needed maybe unit test cases to get them in. So I wanted to request, this is of course the sort of like the second priority item once you kind of finish migrating your own PRs, if you have bandwidth left and would want to help improve the test coverage. If your team would take some time to write the test cases for some of those PRs?
I think most of them should already have tests, and of course, if they don't have, we are going to spend time and add the tests. So I think that's not a problem.
Okay, so this was a general request. I mean, for instance, not just pertaining to your PRs. I think your team had about 150 PRs, but then this was beyond that. For the other PRs that we think is important, or we prioritize that this is important for SALT, and once we are migrating them, if they lack any of the test cases.
Is there some kind of list? Oh, well, I think it is, but now I don't remember the URL or anything. So if you could post a URL to that priority PRs that are lacking tests, and maybe this working group could help by adding tests,
Okay.
that would be nice.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So in general, we're using a couple of labels to distinguish. The couple of labels we are using is Masterport, and the other one is needs test case. I can send you all of that information, and I can even send you like a small list of the PRs, just so that we know you're working on them, and we can coordinate between SaltStack team and SUSE team.
Okay, and then I will create a card in the, I have not migrated anything from the Trello to the project in the community repository, but I think this would be a good opportunity, because basically we could start now with the new aligned goals, and this could be one of them. So I could, once you send me this information, I will start creating a card there, or multiple cards if it makes sense. And then it will be available for everybody if they want to help there.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think that would be great if we, especially if we, once we make the board public. We can also utilize the GitHub project board as well, which is a lot more open to the community as well, and they can help out if needed.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So
Okay.
when we started with this group, I created a Trello board, because I think we didn't have the project in the community repository, so in GitHub. Then I said I will migrate, but then like we were kind of waiting to see what's happening. Now I think it's a good opportunity to really start and put the actionable cards in the community repository in our working group project there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And the third one that we were discussing was the slow tests, improving them.
Yeah, do you have any progress there, or have you started something here, or it's still like at the beginning?
Yeah, it's still at the in the beginning stages.
Mm-hmm.
So the list I have is the work that Wayne from the SALT team did to identify, basically compare the durations of the test runs across a few of the different branches, and then he highlighted the ones which were either taking longer in one of the branches. So I have that list, but then the team might have better inputs. Megan, Frauda, DeVos, Pedro, do you guys have any inputs on how should we go about the slow tests?
I guess we go through the list, and we probably should create items on GitHub, issues on GitHub, so that we can, so that we know, so if someone picks up an issue, we know who's working on what, and we don't double the work between people. I think that's probably the easiest way. The list that we had is probably a good source to start. So that's more or less what I have in mind.
Kavya, no, I'm not sure exactly what list you're talking about. Can you give us a link, or if not now, if you would send me an email with that, I could create the cards in the GitHub board.
Sure, I can do that. So if I'm remembering it correctly, this list was sent to the SUSE during, I mean, it's the same list that we exchanged during the testing workshop.
Okay, so then you mean I might already have the URL to that. Okay, then, okay, I can check and...
I'm looking for the link to the list. Give me a second, Michal, I will paste it.
Pablo, I couldn't hear you clearly. So you said you already have the link, or I can send the link again, doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah, I was mentioning, Mihai, that I'm just sending it to him. I have it here, the link.
Okay.
Mihai, you have it here in Mumble?
Okay, maybe is it better if we put it here in Zoom? Is this then going to be seen by others, or probably not? The recording doesn't show any messages, right?
Yeah, it doesn't show. I think it's better to share the screen.
You know what? I don't think it's important to have the list. I think it's more important to have the cards in the board. So I will take care of creating the card there.
Okay. Yeah, I think that will be very helpful.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so then was that everything on your list, or do you still have some?
So far, I mean, we wanted this to be the priority because I think this will take some significant time for the people migration and the test coverage and the slow tests. So I think beyond this point, we can discuss if there is anything else. But I'd want to open it to the rest of the SALT team members and see if we want to add anything to the list. Pedro, do you think we should add something to the list, or do you want to change the priority of what we discussed?
No, not changing priorities. I think we could add an item to the list so that we can start perhaps thinking on how to tackle this. It would be interesting to set up a way to check SALT performance, the several parts. We would have to figure out which parts do we think we want to test or we need to test, and how should we test that performance, and probably try to think of a way to address this problem. SaltStack has an Elasticsearch setup, although it's currently private. The reason I bring this up is because we could feed data there. But if we at least start thinking on how we could test this, we can probably tackle this in the near future. This would be an interesting subject, I think. If not to get more performance out of Salt, to at least have data to see if we lose performance with the changes coming in.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think we briefly discussed a bit in the workshop as well, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it would make sense. And then I can create a card for that. Maybe I will ping you the following days in Slack to better define the card, but I can create it now.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, great.
Okay, anything else from the SUSE team?
Well, I think we have a good amount of things to do, and this time it's looking much better. Because they are now actually actionable. Well, we don't have the cards yet, but once we will have them, they are actually something that we can start with. I hope I will try to ping of the others that might have been interested at the beginning of the working group. Maybe they will feel more motivated once we would have like some concrete cards in the board. And I hope to bring them back and participate.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I do remember the one person who was in the initial of the working group mentioning that they'd want to work on the test coverage especially. So since that is the number 2 item in our list, adding the test cases, yeah, it would definitely make more sense.
Yeah. So I will do that. I hope to bring them back.
Okay, perfect. Okay, if there is nothing else, then I think we can wrap up now that we have a clear agenda and next action items.
Yeah, it looks good for me. I don't have anything to add. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Anything else that the team wants to bring up, the SOLVE team? DWAS, is there a certain way that want to go through the PR migration?
I don't have anything right now. We will be, as we're looking at PRs, we're going to be going through the master, what's that label?
Master port?
Yeah, master port label. And any ones that come up that needs a test case, we're going to add the needs test case label. So you can search for those 2 labels. There's nothing yet in that search, but as we start reviewing stuff, we'll be adding the labels there.
Okay, perfect. That sounds good. Okay, thank you for joining, team. This was fruitful, and then I look forward to our the next set of tickets which Mihai is going to create. I have a set of action items as well, so which we will tackle. Thank you and have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, team. See you in the next meeting. Ciao.
Bye.